Hello everybody and welcome. We're not in my normal spot, which is in this corner over here, because I'm going over something that I went over previously with my Blu-ray collection, where I went through and I weeded out some of the stuff I downsized. And downsizing, it's a natural part of the physical media collector's life. It's a natural part of collecting. You get older, you see all of this stuff, and you want to get rid of it. So I'm downsizing my video game collection. Yes, I have a sizable video game collection that a lot of it's just taking up space. So before we get into that, let's tell a little story, because like all of you out there, 2020, 2019-ish, 2020 really is the apocalypse for not just, a pandemic, but for video game prices. Everything across the board went up by tenfold. Some things like Sega Saturn went up huge. Some things like Microsoft Xbox, the original Xbox, didn't go up quite so much, but in recent years has been going up a little bit more. I chose the Microsoft Xbox as my console of choice. I love the GameCube, I love the PS2, but they were both kind of expensive for me. So I went in on Microsoft Xbox games big time. I wanted to go for an entire physical library. That's like 900 plus games. And I wanted to get it all. And then so I went on the Goodwill website, started buying up stuff. It's where I got my Mountain Dew Xbox. It's where I got Steel Battalion in the box. It's where I got a lot of the rare stuff in these games behind me that I'm not keeping any longer. I went through, I had like 500 plus original Xbox games. I went through all of my other stuff. I had a bunch of Sega Genesis stuff, a bunch of Game Boy Advance, DS, all of that stuff. And here's all the stuff that I'm throwing out of my collection. I'm not throwing it out, everybody, so don't freak out. It's going to get sold to either a game store or on eBay, so don't freak out. I'm not throwing this stuff away, and don't ask for it in the comments either. But that story continues with all of these Xbox games. I wanted to go for that complete collection, but along the way, I found some other stuff that I bought for way cheaper than it is now, because of course that 2020 bubble blew up. So first off is my Sega Genesis. I am not going to keep this because I'm just not the biggest Genesis fan in the world. I do have the two Sega Genesis mini consoles, so that really captures most of the best games in this library. The other ones I can emulate, they're available elsewhere. This is one with the 32X add-on. I don't have the Sega CD, I never ended up getting that. That is one of the only reasons why I might keep this, because I love the Sega CD, but I just have no love for the Sega 32X. And the Genesis, if I wanted to get a Genesis again, I'll be able to get a Genesis again. They're pretty easy to come by. So my Sega Genesis and my 32X, I'm going to be selling out of my collection. It has grown past a point where I want this any longer. And if I want to play Genesis games, I really have great options outside of the original console here. Going with that, we have a bag full of controllers. We do have, because I'm probably going to be selling this or trading it in or whatever, Genesis controller, the 3-button one. You want the 6-button one, folks. If you don't have the 6-button controller, what the hell are you doing? We've got a crappy wireless original Xbox controller that is awful. This is a terrible controller. Don't buy them. Speaking of great controllers, but I don't really have the need for them, we have the Logitech Xbox controller here. These are wireless, and these are great. They're magnificent controllers. I just don't really care for them because I don't really care for the wireless stuff, especially when I can use the original console's controller, and I have plenty of those. There's some receivers in here, and then of course there is the 6-button Genesis controller. You got to use the 6-button, folks. It is the only way to play Genesis games. And then I have a really dusty ass old Game Boy Advance SP. I have my original SP, the battery works and everything. You can see dust flying around here. I didn't dust some of this stuff off before I threw it in this bag, especially these controllers. But this is just an old Game Boy Advance SP that I have no connection to. I have my silver one still that works, everything. It's had Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color in it for approximately 4 years now. I just fire that thing up, play some Mario Golf. Love that Mario Golf game for the Game Boy Color. And so that'll do it for this small bag of stuff that's on top here. So I had some heavy hitters. I had some heavy hitters in this collection that I'm going to be trading in. A bunch of Genesis games, Aladdin on Genesis, Sonic 3D Blast on Genesis, Sonic and Knuckles, Panic and Funkatron, Panic on Funkatron, stuff like that. That's just, you know, original Sonic the Hedgehog. I can play this stuff anywhere. Here's another game. I don't own a Super Nintendo. I don't own any Super Nintendo stuff, but I do own Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo. I'm going to be trading this in. I don't have a need for this. I can play Mega Man X basically on so many different consoles. I have a Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. It's stuff like this that's just like stuff I've gotten over the years that's one-off stuff that I don't really care to own anymore. And it's not sad to me. It's freeing. It's almost like I'm getting rid of all this stuff. I have an extra copy of Ninja Gaiden Black. This game is fantastic. I'm keeping a copy for myself and I'm trading this one in. But just all this stuff I went through and I bought all of this random stuff that I have a bunch of doubles of, I have extras of, we have so many copies of the Halo 2 multiplayer map pack. Just all kinds of stuff in here. Harry Potter games, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Chaos Bleeds. That game is uncommon. I don't care. I don't care for it. We've got plenty of stuff like this. I would normally keep this if I cared about Project Gotham Racing 2. This sticker on the outside authenticates this game. It's not like people are out there faking original Xbox games left and right, but it's nice to know that, hey, that is an original copy of that game that came from the Microsoft Store. Here we've got an oddity. We've got Fable plus the limited edition bonus CD, or this is a pre-order bonus that came with Fable. I have no care for this because I love Fable, but I don't need it. We've got some other stuff. We've got sealed games in here. We've got sealed Outlaw Tennis, sealed Unreal Tournament 2. We've got heavy hitters like Otogi 2. This game comes from Software. It just blew up in price, and I don't really care. You know, it's like a $70 Xbox game. I don't really care. I played it once, and I realized I don't really need this in my life. Let's see if we've got anything else in here that's worth talking about. There's a lot of chaff, too. There's a lot of sports games, a lot of doubles, a lot of triples. I have, I don't know, a billion copies of Halo. We've got a dusty-ass copy of Spawn Armageddon. This one doesn't have the manual in it, but it comes with a little insert. But this game, it's fine. If you're a Spawn fan, it's great. But the reason why I started collecting for the original Xbox in the first place was because the console of its generation is the single most powerful console on the market. You don't get better than an original Xbox game, progressive scan on a nice TV. It's so much better than the PlayStation 2. It's so much better than the GameCube. And for a long time, the price was right because people weren't invested in it. And now I'm one of those people, I am less invested because, quite frankly, I don't need this many games that I'm not going to play in my life. And that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing that I can think of through this whole ordeal, this whole thing about going through games and keeping them and seeing which ones I want to keep and which ones I don't want to keep is, am I going to play this? And so I pared down about 500 original Xbox games to, I think, about 60 that I want to keep and play that I remember playing as a kid, whether that's the GTA versions on this console or what. So that's the first box. We just went through a box of stuff there, folks. So that's just a sampling. And I'm going to get rid of this right here and hopefully not knock the camera over. We've got another bag of stuff here with doubles and stuff like that. Guess what? We've got a copy of Pokemon Emerald. This is a real original copy of the game. I don't have the box. If I had the box, I wouldn't be selling this, but an extra copy. So it's just like stuff like this that you get in lots, that you get, and you just accumulate stuff, and it's sort of maddening. Doubles. Another double. Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, not Order of Ecclesia, which would be cool to have because I don't own that game yet, but a double that's complete. Aladdin in the box. Guess what? Aladdin in the box. Just stuff like this that's, why do I need 2 copies of that? Why do I need 3 copies of that? 360 games. We've got more box Genesis games. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The Lion King, Terminator 2, the arcade game. Stuff like this that I know. I would love to play Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Guess what? I can play that on so many different consoles. So I'm not going to keep it. We've got 360 games in here. These are some kind of crappy ones. These are like sports titles. Some of the There's another copy of Halo. I have 5 of them in here. We've got sealed copies of Kinect motion games. We've got plenty of stuff like that in here that is just wild, unbelievable stuff that, you know, I don't need in my collection. I don't need taking up space. It was freeing to purge this stuff, to say I am going to either sell or trade in or whatever, all of this stuff, because guess what? It's freeing up space for new stuff. It's freeing up space just in general in my mind, and that's a big thing for collectors, is freeing up that space in your mental capacity for collecting. This red box down here, you can't see the red on the camera, but that is the box of stuff I'm going to keep. Here's some examples of some of the stuff that I'm keeping, that I love, that I want out of my original Xbox collection. We've got Star Wars Jedi Outcast, great version of this game. We've got Halo 2 in the Steelbook, and my Steelbook isn't rusted up like most of these come out. Star Wars Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Just the Star Wars games on this console are magnificent. Star Wars Obi-Wan, True Crime, New York City. I remember hearing about this game, and when GTA San Andreas and everything came out, there was a rivalry with True Crime Streets of New York. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, Star Wars Episode 3, Sonic Mega Collection Plus. You can play Sonic, all of the Genesis games on this collection, and it's not terrible. It's not bad with lag. One of the reasons to play on the original Xbox. Crazy cool stuff like Future Tactics, The Uprising, The Thing. There's a Thing game, and it's amazing. You should play it. Both of these games. Weird, sort of off-the-wall stuff. Evil Dead, Fistful of Boomstick. Great action game that's Evil Dead. I paid $35 for this. Well worth it. Totally. Grab this game if you love Evil Dead. Stuff like that that is just worth holding on to in the best possible way you can play these games. Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Here's a weird game that you would be like, Hunter, why are you keeping that? I'm keeping Madden 07 because this was one of the first games I got. This copy of Madden 07 right here. One of my love affairs with the game of football is because of this game. That is the reason why I collect again, why I collect these games, why I'm keeping Madden 07. Because this copy is why I love football now. It's why I have such a connection to the sport, fantasy football, my friends that I've made. All of that is because of this game. And that's why I'm keeping it. That's what you might ask, like, that's weird, why are you keeping stuff like that? Then there's just some oddities, too. We've got all the Splinter Cell games. We've got X-Men Legends. We've got Crimson Skies. We've got Roller Coaster Tycoon on the Xbox. Now, I know that's an inferior version of the game, but it's just an oddity to be able to play Roller Coaster Tycoon on the Xbox. Brutal Legend in the GameStop case. The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and then there's the other one that's on the Xbox as well. That trilogy of games is awesome, is fantastic. We've got a bunch of 360 games up here. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Warhammer 40k Space Marine, that's a 360 game. But we're keeping stuff like, I'm keeping stuff like this, or games that show off just how awesome the Xbox is. I'm throwing them around here. Mech Assault and Ghost Recon. This game, it's a dime a dozen. It's not super special, but when this game came out, good God, this was a killer app for the Xbox. You can play it on PC as well, but this was one of the reasons to buy an Xbox. You get cool stuff like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory in a steelbook that is not destroyed with 2 discs. Awesome stuff like this that you don't get anywhere else. And my copy of Halo that is destroyed by the sticker here, not destroyed for me. It's authenticated because of that. Game of the Year. Stuff like Jaws Unleashed, the best way to play Scarface, The World Is Yours. This game is a little bit more expensive now. This game, if you have not tracked it down, go track down a PS2 version, the Wii version, or this version. All 3 are fun. The Wii version has motion controls and stuff, but this version of the game is the best one. This game is awesome. It is GTA Vice City 2, basically. You got stuff like Lord of the Rings The Third Age, thanks to my friend Connor for getting me this for my birthday, by the way. Spy vs. Spy, Serious Sam, Dark Alliance 2, Panzer Dragoon Orta. Basically, when the original Xbox has its sort of reputation for being the Sega Genesis 2, Stubbs the Zombie, enough said, this game is awesome, has the you know, reputation of being the Sega Dreamcast 2, it is the Sega Dreamcast 2 with some of these games that you can play on the console. And so just going through, it was freeing to go through these games and relive and go, oh my God, I cannot get rid of Jedi Outcast. I cannot get rid of this game. I remember playing it, and it's going through, and some of these other games in these boxes that are expensive that I would like, you know, have collector cred for having. There's plenty of those in here. I have plenty of sort of, you know, survival horror games and stuff like that I might love horror movies. You can see all of them behind me. I don't like playing survival horror games. Resident Evil is about as far as it comes for me to that I enjoy, really, because some of those you can get more run and gunny. But Resident Evil is about where I draw the line. So while we're finishing this up, we're going through these games here. Let's go through this box. Got one more box. Let's see if there's anything in here that we can see that's cool. You know, Halo 2. Weird stuff like Hummer Badlands that I'm never going to play. I'm trying to find some of the heavy hitter stuff I didn't go through after I went through this. Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. I am not keeping this game. This game is awful. Screw this game. Not Lord of the Rings. SmackDown vs. Raw. This is a messed up copy that has a terrible insert that's taped up beyond belief. But this game is fun. But stuff like that. There's some other sealed games, I think, in this box or the other one. Another copy of Fable. Just, you know, random stuff, extra copies of stuff that I don't need. Let's see if I can see anything in here that's sort of crazy expensive. There's a couple of them in here. There's Call of Cthulhu. There's one of the Fatal Frame games. Yeah, it's here down at the bottom, of course. Fatal Frame, stuff like this that I thought I would want. I'm trying to move a million games, and I'm moving a million games out of the way here and talk at the same time. Games just don't like to move. Jesus. Okay. Here we go. We're getting to the bottom here. We're getting out Fatal Frame so you guys can see some of this stuff that, you know, extra copy of Jet Set Radio Future. This game's sort of expensive. But Fatal Frame. This is a perfect example of stuff that I bought that I was going to go, oh wow, I'm going to be so cool as a collector if I own this. And then, guess what? It went on the shelf. And it sat there. Or it went in this box. It sat there. And 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 I didn't play it. And I figured, well, I don't really care for these types of games. So why would I play it? But guess what? I'm super cool. I have a copy of Phantom Dust, which I'm not sure if that's an expensive game or not, but I have a copy of Phantom Dust. You know, it's just stuff like this that it would be cool, or it makes me look cool as a collector, that I don't really care about that feeling anymore. The admiration of people that I don't know for my collection is not a priority for me any longer. It's a priority for me to have space, to have a collection that I enjoy, that I can play, that I can use, that I can, you know, sort of enjoy. Here's some cool stuff that is getting purged here. Sealed copies. I was never a sealed collector. I've never been one. I open all my stuff. Sealed copy of Elder Scrolls Morrowind Game of the Year Edition. Sealed copy of Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, one of my favorite games. I'm keeping my open copy. Sealed copy of iNinja. Sealed copy of Conker's Live and Reloaded. This game is awesome. I am keeping my copy of that. It's just stuff like that that is gratuitous collecting to a point that I don't need anymore. So, are you going through your collections? Are you purging stuff? There's tips here to learn for not just, you know, video game collectors. This is an all physical media collector kind of thing where you should go through your collection every once in a while and see just what you can get rid of, because there's plenty of stuff out there that you probably don't care for, that you don't need anymore, that, you know, takes up space, like this stuff. And it is freeing, let me tell you folks. It's freeing and it's dusty. Some of this stuff is dusty. It is freeing to go through and see a big old bag, a big old box of stuff that you can trade in. And you can get something that you want with that trade in, or you can sell it on eBay or whatever. That is an important part of physical media collecting. That is an important part of video game collecting, that your tastes change. If your tastes don't change and you don't add stuff to your repertoire, what the hell are you doing as a collector? Because if you're just collecting the same stuff and you're just grabbing stuff just to say you have it, sure, that's nice. If you really want to go for a complete collection of something, go for it. I'm not telling you not to, but I'm saying you might realize halfway through that it's not for you. So all of these, you can learn from this as a Blu-ray collector, a 4K collector, a video game collector, a comic book collector, a magic card collector, whatever you collect. Beanie Babies, who cares? You can learn that sometimes you need to go through your collection and purge some stuff. Are you purging from your collection? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, check out this video for more tips on how to deck out your collection so you can save money.